Also, the concerts for Carol and Rosas, we're going to be delaying those concerts and postponing them. And so as I get the information on those dates, I will let you know about the dates for the concerts that are going to be at Carol and Rosas Park. And also, recently, last month, we had our movie theater, movies in the park as well, here at Carol and Rosas and here at Rowland Heights. And it was pretty well attended, I must say. For sports, we'll be starting our soccer league this July 19th for our youth soccer league. So we're also looking forward to that. This is one of our, I think maybe only our second year trying to do soccer in this area. So we've been trying to expand the sports, especially for affordable rate, because a lot of the traveling teams have kind of dominated the sports market. So we're trying to offer affordable options for different families. So that starts this Saturday. We also just finished our baseball season, and we just had our trophy giveaway. Not giveaway, but they earned the trophies. But we just had our little trophy ceremony this past week or so. And so that will be about it for me. If we have any other questions yes. We have Bug Board coming up too as well. But yes.
How do we get all this information? Will it be posted like on the Buzz or anything like that? Because I know the concerts, couldn't find them. It wasn't until we called them, oh, we're having a concert. So will you be showing all the activities that are going to be coming up here at the park?
Well, we try to put our activities that's specifically here on our marquee that is on the corner, which I know that's probably not enough. But if you have any suggestions for me, you can talk to me afterwards, and I'll definitely listen to the suggestions. I'm still fairly new to the area, and so if you have any suggestions on how we could, spread the word better, I'm glad to take it.
Suggestion, the Solis's office usually puts out a newsletter every Friday, and they highlight things that are happening in the parks and rec in the county. So are we responsible to do that?
You know what? Is there any way you can find out when we can get the signage on Kalima? It's been down for a few years.
Yes, I remember we had emails about that. Technically, I think we do not control the signage that's on Kalima. So it's somebody else, another agency that controls it. So we'll figure out how to contact them to put information up, but Parks and Rec does not control that. Yes, that was for our regional parks, which is our bigger park. So the Shabaram would be the park in this area. And so all the other smaller parks are the same business hours. But Shabaram Park, when we say closed, it doesn't necessarily mean closed to the public. It means closed, meaning there will not be any staff there. So, but patrons will still could walk in and hike it, but there won't be any staff there to assist with any issues or anything. So that's more so what it is. And so that was due to, obviously, talked about this actually on the last community meeting, but we had budget cuts that started July 1st. It's Monday and Tuesday. So it's open, staff will be there Wednesday through Sunday. Yes. I don't think the restrooms might not be open on Monday and Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And from the Office of Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, Field Representative UNISA, I did not see her come in. So we'll move on to, and I did not see Representative Kyle Miller from Senator Bob Archuleta. But I do see from Assemblywoman Lisa Calderone, Stephen Coronel. Yay!
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Coronel, field representative from the Office of Assemblymember Lisa Calderone, and just to make this real fast, not many updates. So for legislative deadlines, July 18th is when the legislature goes into summer recess, and they'll be reconvening on August 18th, so 1 month. They'll be in recess, however, our district office will still be open. If you need any help with state agencies, feel free to contact us. We'll get you what you need. As for the members' bills, she had 15 bills presented this year, and only 11 are sitting in the Senate right now. As for her insurance bills, they're all going through as well. For example, AB 69, which is a fair policy plan, is getting people off of the fair plan and into eligible insurance companies. And then also AB 75, which is residential property insurance images. Basically, this bill mandates that insurance companies need to notify insurance holders 30 days in advance before they take aerial photography. And AB 888, which is California Safe Homes Act, which is basically for eligible constituents. They could get up to $10,000 in helping fire hardening their homes and landscaping. So that bill is also sitting on appropriations in the Senate, which means it's already been through one round of committee. So after appropriations, it will be sent to the Senate for a vote. As for our community stuff, we have our annual college and career fair that's going to be held on Saturday, October the 11th at Rio Hondo College. So if you know anyone in high school, we invite them to come join our college and career fair. And we also have a scholarship writing contest. So if you have any good writers in mind, please help them sign up. This is open to everyone in the district as far as South Amani all the way to Danawar. So if you know a high schooler, please let them come over. And then for next month, on August 13th, which is going to be Wednesday, the Assemblymember will be hosting a wildfire safety town hall event right here at the Rowland Heights Community Center. We'll be having panelists from CAL FIRE, LA County Fire Department, California Department of Insurance, and the Puente Hills Habitat Authority to catch like any questions that you guys may have, and if you want to also put input on how you want to be responding to fire severities and all that. So now again, that's going to be August 13th. So, you have a question?
That was the question. What
Right.
time?
From 6 p.m. 8 p.m. And lastly, food scarcity is being a combination that's popping up in our office right now. So our office, we are collaborating with the East San Diego Valley Coalition. They're a church located in La Puente. They're a small food bank, but we work with them every week to assemble food packages and helping them store stuff. But also, we're also doing delivery. So if you know anyone within Rowland Heights who needs food assistance, feel free to give me their address, and then once a week we could get a food parcel out too. So yeah, so I'm free to take any questions right now. Once, or twice.
Bill, sir, the 30-day surveillance bill was mentioned. What was the bill?
That is AB 75. Thank you.
Now we have from the LA County Library, Human Zone. I get better and better at it.
Good evening, everyone. Just following up on Stephen's comment about food scarcity. The LA County Library, specifically the Rowland Heights Library, is also doing summer lunches. So from now until August 8th, we are having lunches for kids and teens under 18, Monday to Friday. I know they had beef and cheese tacos today. There's always a fruit, a grain, and milk. I do have two updates to share this month. The first is that our Friends of the Library is having a book sale this Saturday from 10 to 4. There'll be a wide selection of children's, teens, adult, foreign language books, as well as DVDs and music CDs, all for the great price of only $10 to fill up a grocery bag. So it's a great deal, and it's also a great opportunity to help out the library. If you are interested in volunteer opportunities, the Friends is always looking for members. And they play a really pivotal role in promoting the value of literacy and raising funds to help us with our programming, with our furniture, anything that the library needs. The Friends really do play a big role. So if you're looking to volunteer, they're always accepting new members. And also, summer is in full swing. I did bring a sample of this, but Our California State Park Pass program is still running. You're welcome to check out one of these passes to go to over 200 state parks and beaches. With a pass, you are valid to have one passenger vehicle up to 9 people. Some of the local parks and beaches nearby include the Chino Hill State Park, the Kenneth Hahn State Recreation Area, as well as Los Angeles State Historic Park. I actually took one of these last months to Clear Lake in Lakeport, so it's great for all throughout the state of California. If you're looking for summer travel ideas, head over to the library to borrow one of these passes. I did leave some flyers up by the counter, so if you have any questions, I'm here until the end, or you can grab the flyer if you like. Thank you.
Have any questions? Okay, so we move along to Mount San Antonio College and Julie Chan Haggerty.
I have 2 items to report. Mount San Antonio College is hosting a Visit to University 2025 conference. We expect to draw Cal State University, UCs, and community college students throughout the region. So whether you are a student, educator, advocate, or a community member, please come to be part of the conversation and help shape a brighter future for those youth currently or formerly incarcerated. So it's August 7th at Mount campus. If you need more information, let me know. The second one, Mount SAC has a lot of free classes for education for older adults, not just on campus, but at this center. We have summer classes and fall classes. And it's not just designed to help healthy aging, it's depressing, but also we have classes like very practical, mobile information technology that you can keep up with playing game with your grandkids. But also have fun classes like watercoloring, sewing, fashion design, jewelry making, and gardening. So I'm gonna both summer and it's here or neighboring center like Diamond Mall, Mente, and Hacienda. So I'm gonna leave some of the class schedule and classes with the back. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, we are going to move on to Rowland Unified School District, and I see a lot of them here today, so I'm just going to say, come on up. The whole board is here today. And I'll leave the introductions to Alex.
Thank you, Beth. About 2 months ago, I came here and presented the school district, and I shared my observations about how essential this committee is of bringing so much information to the community, bringing all these guests that come to share different things. And as I wrap up my first year as superintendent, and with the board's direction, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to the executive board, and we have certificates of appreciation. We have certificates, I can speak about it. We have certificates of appreciation for each of the executive board to thank you for all that you do. You volunteer, you spend your time, and look at the numbers of people that are here tonight to get this wonderful information. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of the board for all that you do to make this community together and united. In today's day, we need more of this. We need more of respecting each other and respecting everything we're trying to do for our community. And you make this community better by the information that all the officials bring and all the resources that we have. So the board wants to say thank you to all your executive officials. So we have some certificates for you. Andrea volunteered to take a picture for us. I appreciate it. Somebody so much support. Just for graduation.
Right over here, right over here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
And two other announcements that I have. Please look at your social media. We are doing a social media account on RUSD Performing Arts Center and also RUSD Sports. You're part of the community. These are your schools. You may have students that went through our school district. You may not have any in there now, but they're still your schools. Come out, take a look at a play, take a look at what's happening. It's really no charge. You can come. The Performing Arts Center is here because of your generosity in passing the bond, so it's your Performing Arts Center. So please come take advantage of it and look out for social media for RUSD Performing Arts Center and RUSD Athletics. Thank you so much. Yes.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, that's a good thing. I'm Alex Flores. I'm the superintendent of the Rowland Heights School District, and I'll let each board member introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Kim Hai.
Board Vice President, Jerry Chen.
Hi, I'm Ellen Park. I'm one of the new board members.
I'm Eric Bodega.
And our board president, Agnes Gonzalez, was unable to make it tonight. She's traveling at this time, but she would love to attend your as well. So, thank you again.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Alex. We appreciate all you do for Rowland Heights School District as well. Our kids in this Rowland Heights School District are in wonderful hands. I have a late request to speak from Buckboard Days Parade, David Martinez. So he's going to speak briefly on Buckboard Days.
45 minutes or so. I would just like to say and remind everyone that the parade is on. Go to our website if you want to sign up to be in the parade. We've contacted a lot of you out there via email, so if you can respond, let us know. Just bring back the parade this year. We want to get a lot of people. One more thing is I'm asking all the community groups such as Kiwanis and Women's Club and stuff like that. It's a time to show off your clubs. And it's a great time if you want to be part of the parade, get in the parade, show what you stand for, and give us a write-up so we can make an announcement at the parade and any information. But let's be in the parade. We want a lot of entries. We also do a lot of banners that we put along Colima and Dallas. So if you'd like to sign up, we have a deadline for that. Just go to our website. It's very friendly, easy to sign up, so that way you can, sign up and get a banner up there. Take a picture under it, show it to your company, your business, or any type of group involved. So let's have a great parade, everybody, and thank you. I need a short.
stipulated that would like to ride, like groups that do special riding, things like that, are we able to do anything like that for this?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. That's one of the issues we've had with the parade. You would have to carry your own insurance. That's one of the things that you have to do, because we do get insurance for our parade. We do carry liability insurance for the parade, but that is one of the things that they stipulate is if they've had issues with horses before, kids running up, touching them, and causing injuries to the children. So if you do have a horse, before we used to have a lot of horses, it was no problem, because we have a lot of ranchers and people have horses.
Beverly was my neighbor, so.
Oh, you know Beverly, okay. Yeah, and it was great. But now, with everything going on, you know, with liability, that if you do have a horse, it's make sure that you have insurance. Go to our website and fill it out and let us know. That way we can get you the parade. Because we do a big lineup, and we like to put the horses in a certain area, you know, not in front of the kids. But
Is there any information on what type of insurance you need, that I can email you?
yeah, you can email me. Go to any insurance. I can recommend our insurance. You can give me a price on a quote, you know, for the parade. I don't know if it's a 2 or 4 hour liability insurance. We need it for most of the day, and we've been doing it for years. So, in every function here, every park now is requiring liability insurance for any type of thing that any organization wants to do so. And we'd love to have the horses. You know, we only have one horse in our parade, and that's the one that pulls our buckboard. It'd be nice to have a couple other horses, you know, because kids rarely get to see a horse, you know, walking by. So, hope that answered your question. Okay, thank you.
What date is the parade going to be held on this year?
October the 18th.
Thank you.
It's always the third Thursday of October. Saturday. It's always the good. Okay, it's Saturday, third Saturday of every October, so hope to see you there. And then there's going to be a festival afterwards, so bring your family, have a lot of fun, and it'll be a great time for everybody. And it's a great chance to see the old neighborhood, your old neighbors and stuff like that. They all seem to show up, you know, and it's a one time the community comes together. So thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to now from the office of Supervisor Hilda Solis, Andrea Moreno, and I believe she's going to talk first on the immigration enforcement and impact on businesses and stuff like that.
Thank you, Ben. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to answer. But I'm just glad to be here again. I know it takes a lot to be here on a Monday night. So thank you to the RHCCC team for continuing to host your meetings. Thank you to you all who, at the end of the day, right, care about where you live, who you live next to. And that is my assumption of why you're here, right? At the end of the day, that's I think, the bottom line. So with that said, I do have a couple of announcements, and then I'll ask for some questions if you have them. And then I will, turn it over to my colleague, Andrea. She's here also with our office. She works in the downtown office, so I don't get to downtown very often. I have to be here in the San Gabriel Valley. But anyway, with that said, I do want to mention Steven talked about a fire workshop, right, in August. So I definitely want to encourage you to come out because there's a lot of different agencies, as you know, that are trying to collaborate as we build resilient communities and in relation to fire safety. So with that in mind, I do want to tell you that our Department of Regional Planning, so the LA County Department of Regional Planning, is currently undertaking a Fire Safe Council, Fire-Wise Community, a community safety plan for unincorporated areas specifically, right? I hear some cities undertaking these. I hear the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, undertaking some of this work. And so I do have flyers for you. Again, the Regional Planning Office, who oversees, right, our county unincorporated areas, is going to have some webinars. So it's going to be important for you to understand what they're thinking the plan is. They want to hear from you specifically. If you live here in Rowland Heights, an unincorporated area, maybe you live across the freeway and you're in South San Jose Hills, I don't know. You want to attend this workshop to understand where the county is coming from and where you're coming from, to voice, those things that maybe are limiting us in understanding the full scope of how our system works. And then with that knowledge, you come back here in this very room, right, on August 13th, for an in-person with the other agencies that are state, federal, and county. So there's the fire safety councils are broken up, or fire safety zones are broken up into 5 areas. There's the North County area, which is like near Ventura. Then we have Santa Clarita, etc. Our area, if you look at this map, it says 5 because we are considered to be in the LA Basin, Puente Hills zone, right? So I know there's a lot of terms out there. We are in County District 1, right, as it comes to supervisorial districts. But when we're talking about fire zones, we are in zone 5, okay? So the zone-specific meeting for the Puente Hills LA Basin is going to take place in September 3rd. All of these meetings are online, so you don't have to go anywhere. And again, it's just to get more specifics about your area, and a general overview of all of these zones is going to take place on Wednesday, July 23rd from 6 to 7 p.m. And again, it is online, and I do have this flyer for you in case you want to join these meetings. Fire safety, very important, one of the hottest, if I don't know another way to say, topics right now. So that is the one announcement I wanted to make sure you heard tonight. Any questions for me related to unincorporated areas?
Last meeting, I brought up the homes that were around me that were non-compliant with their brush control. Not even 24 hours after this meeting ended, there was a fire at one of the houses. And I called the fire department, they came out, they put it out, people were burning trash. The flames were right across the street, more than 2 stories tall. I emailed, I think you were in that thread. I was pretty emotional that night, pretty angry. The next day I went and spoke to Battalion Chief Crosby, I took pictures. There's a house that terminates at the end of Bassett and has people living in plywood shacks. There's holes dug in the ground for them to defecate in. That property, on 3 sides of that property, is bordered by a petroleum line. The gentleman that services that line saw me out there taking pictures and stopped and said he's been trying for years, his company for years, to get that house in compliance. It looks like Skid Row. I have pictures. Trash pipe, if my head is not higher, with dead brush. Some of the dead brushes in that area we talked about between the fence line and Pathfinder, along there I have video. Nothing is happening. I know that I spoke to Battalion Chief Crosby, and something is supposed to happen. Nothing is happening. The house behind me that Rosanna came looked at in January, the weeds are still as tall as my head. Nothing is happening. And I really appreciate these programs and we're doing these meetings, but the groundwork to prevent the combustible material from going up is not being taken care of. And all of us are spectacular, right? We're here, we want to know what to do. But how do we get something done? And I did see the fire department come through, not last week, but the week before, posting second notices for people who were not compliant, and they posted one. I mentioned the house in the corner of the Carib Native. I have pictures of that place too. It's a jungle. I asked, are you going to talk to them? He said, they're not on our list. I don't know how they can't be on their list. It is.
So they did add into the list now?
No.
Did they give you a reason?
No. They were out posting notices, he said. He just said they're not on the list. I have photos, and that house has the huge transformer, I guess they're called transformer electric boxes, on the ground, on the property. I've got pictures of old railroad ties piled up next to it, dead stuff everywhere. It's out of control.
Yeah, no, I hear your frustration, and I'm really shocked that he said that it wasn't on the list, right? Because it's something that you've been emailing about.
That house was in the house, I didn't know about that house.
I see. Okay, so let's get that address right to make sure that we get that on the list. That's very important. I mean, like I said, we're talking about fire safety for the entire community, and it's really hard for us here on the ground, right, to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to be safe. But if certain issues are not being addressed, it puts everybody else at risk, right? And so I definitely want to make sure we get that address so that it can get on the list. I did also want to mention that the code enforcement for planning is responsible, right, for addressing private property issues. And I know that the investigator out in this area has been, is aware of this particular case and has been trying really hard to get our DA to get those charges filed, right? So that is another kind of like big jump where we have our code enforcement officers doing all they can, right, to refer these cases to the DA, but then there's a stall or a process, right, for that. Obviously the DA is dealing with very high severity cases, and sometimes our code enforcement, which I believe are the most important because this is, you know, the beginning of how we stay safe, are not addressed because they might seem like not a big deal. So it is important for us to continue to advocate, and I'm glad to hear that you haven't seen any movement, right? Because then I can go back and ask, where are we on this case? What's going on? I don't mean to put you on the spot, Alex, but we do have a long-standing county worker here from regional planning, code enforcement, who has done a phenomenal job. He's worked all over the county, and he's very knowledgeable on the process, especially how his department makes referrals to the DA, right? So I know he's here with our friends over from the Treasurer Tax Collector, but he can help us also answer some of these questions afterwards.
I just wanted to share something positive. You know, during these meetings, I had voiced my concerns over the county parks, dry bushes and trees, and, you know, especially around my home, next to the Chabaron Park. And I just want to say thank you to you and the Park and Recreations, the fire station, and everyone else who came out and cleared all of that. I've been asking for years, and finally they were done. So hopefully your problem will be resolved too. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate that. Okay, so I know we're also running on time, and there's a lot of questions also on the STR. So just really quickly, as you know, there's been a lot of movement in the county, especially in the beginning of June, when ICE federal immigration raids started happening, especially here in Los Angeles. And a lot of media coverage has focused on the city of LA, right? There's a lot of manufacturing jobs, there's a lot of hospitality, there's a lot of restaurants, and like the food industry, garment workers, etc., that are concentrated in LA. So this major workforce portion has been heavily targeted. But what many in the media are not fully aware is that it has also been happening across LA County, right? We are in LA County, so we know the difference. We're not LA. But it's still happening in our areas. We've seen calls from the school districts, from parents. Our office in particular has received a higher volume of calls with people telling us that they need food, that they don't know what to do because a person was taken and they're a legal permanent resident and they don't know how to find them, or they're a U.S. citizen and they don't know how to find them, or they're an undocumented immigrant, they don't know how not finding your family member is very triggering, it's very anxiety ridden, and it's very heartbreaking because you don't know if they got swept up in a raid or they, maybe had a concussion and were taken to the hospital. So we have seen a lot of amped anxiety, especially when it comes to people wanting to get their basic needs met. That means going to school, going to church, doing the laundry, going food shopping, right? And so because of all of this anxiety, Supervisor Solis has taken the lead at the county to pass 7 motions to address some of these concerns. In particular, with the Department of Economic Opportunity, there is a study that is now being undertaken to understand the economic aspect and impact, not just of the rates, but of the overall fear that this scenario has created. And so one of the bigger things, right, that affects every single person is our economy. I mean, that is, how we live day to day. And so when you have hits to the workforce, when you have hits to schools that are not getting, money from the state or the feds because there's absences from school, it affects there's a trickling effect, right? And so that is why Supervisor Solis has taken these actions. The board has agreed with her, and so all of her motions have passed. And so, that is just generally what we've been seeing this summer. So I wanted to open it up for questions. Before we go to questions though, I'll turn it over to my colleague Andrea. She can tell you a little bit more about herself and what she does with her office.
Thank you, Andrea. My name is Daniela, and I actually support the immigration portfolio for Supervisor Solis. And so we've been doing a lot of work with our Office of Immigrant Affairs, which the county, which was created actually by Supervisor Solis, 7 years ago now. So there's been a lot of programs that we have put into our Office of Immigrant Affairs, including one called Represent LA, which is provides legal defense and legal support for people who are either in deportation proceedings or who are also looking for affirmative legal defense. And so that's one of the programs that we're really trying to rely on right now during this time. And in addition to what Andrea mentioned as it relates to the study on the economy and trying to understand the impacts of this immigration enforcement on our local economies, the supervisors also set up a couple of different, or is asking our departments to set up a couple of funds, including a small business interruption fund for small businesses who are either impacted, I know this is probably not relevant here, but City of LA, like who are impacted by the curfews, but also those who may be impacted by losses in workforce or whatever else that may be that is happening as it relates to this immigration enforcement. And so if you have a small business that has been impacted due to this immigration enforcement, once that fund is set up, it will be county-wide, and so it's something that we can definitely, you can reach out to our office to see how we can connect you to those resources once these are set up.
Did anyone want to have any questions? Couple questions. David.
How will that small business funding help a business? Will it be to regain more employees, things like that, and being able to pay them minimum wage? Because they are losing people that have worked there. So will that be used for a small business?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still setting up the parameters of that fund, so that's really helpful feedback. I mean, if that's something that you would like to see possibly in a fund like that, we can take that information back to our Department of Economic Opportunity and give them that feedback that would be something that's helpful. I think it's meant to help address any losses that people may be seeing from immigration enforcement. For example, a decreased foot traffic to your small business because most of your customers are immigrants, or you have a business that serves immigrants. But what you're mentioning, you know, these are typically going to be like one-time grants, so I don't know that that's something that a one-time grant can support, but it is feedback that we can take to our Department of Economic Opportunities, and we can think through how to support what you're mentioning. Right.
Oh, is there any time in the future, and by the way, I'm surprised you haven't told everybody that tomorrow is Tuesday and the County Board of Supervisors has their meeting, which you can all participate in remotely and speak your piece and see what's going on there. And I will not elaborate on it because I'll be there every Tuesday, you know that. And I also have a YouTube channel, you got that. But when are you going to start using the word illegal? That's what triggered the whole thing is telling Trump and telling ICE to go shove it as far as the person's in confinement. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and guess what? It's not going away, and this state is in dire financial consequences as we speak. And all you have to do is go to that supervisors meeting tomorrow, and you also coming up with Measure G. Where are you getting the money to finance 9 supervisors? I rest my case.
That. Any other questions?
You mentioned that people are calling your office to get food or they don't know where to get help. If you want to donate, how do you do that? Who do you donate to be able to help people?
So
I can tell you I have family that is brown, who are legal here, and have been here, are contributing members of the society, who are afraid to go out because they are brown. And that's unacceptable.
Thank you for mentioning that, and I'm really sorry to hear that because it joins the chorus. I cannot tell you how many calls, right, we've been getting. It's heartbreaking.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Thank you. So if you want to donate, if you want to get involved to support families in need, definitely let me know. We do have a connection with other organizations that are here in the area, with school districts, and with nonprofits that have the capacity to take in, for example, donations, or perhaps it's volunteering that you want to do, right? There's obviously a lot of need right now, and so people there's certain avenues to get in and get to work, right? Because at the end of the day, we're out here working, contributing, and if it's about building our community stronger, I think that's the best we can do to ensure that we have a safe place to live. Any other questions?
One more.
Roy, I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry because we have another presentation on the next topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is it okay if we become transition? Okay, thank you, Yvette. So we do have also here with us Andrea with the Department of TTC, which is Treasurer and Tax Collector. She brought a team to be able to answer a lot of questions. I know over the months, right, we've had some conversations about short-term rentals, aka Airbnbs. And so we're here to really get a lot of questions answered and talk about the process, where it's at right now, how Altadena the Eaton fire affected the policy, but what's going on since then, right? And how we're moving forward. So without any further ado, here's Andrea. And I think your team has a presentation?
They do, but it's a physical, they have handout.
Oh, okay, hands, perfect.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Andrea. I'm an Assistant Treasurer and Tax Collector with the Department, Treasurer and Tax Collector. And under my area of responsibility is the Business License Program, one of the operations that I administer. And under the Business License Program is our short-term rental unit. And so tonight with me, I have our Operations Manager over the Assistant Operations Manager over our short-term rental, our Business License section, and as well as the Supervisor and one of our inspectors. because I think it would be really good to hear from the boots on the ground as far as what we're doing. But I wanted to just provide a little background before I transition and turn the mic over to them. So we did a lot of outreach before the ordinance, the short-term rental ordinance was implemented. And part of the reason that we were doing that outreach is because part of enforcement is education. So our goal was to make sure that people understood what the requirements were if they were going to conduct short-term rental activity, to the point where they did not create a nuisance on their neighbors. Now, we understand that that's not always the case. We've got some complaints that have escalated that we're monitoring. But our ordinance went into effect in October of last year. And so in that short period of time, we've been able to get our team together and to start working with a third-party vendor that's going to assist us with the monitoring and the registration. But I know that some of you may have been experiencing some of the negative consequences of short-term rentals for years. But our ordinance only went into effect in October. And so there was no short-term rental enforcement that was available for any action to occur if you have been experiencing some of these negative consequences for a number of years. And I know some of the complaints that we've had, people have shared that they've been complaining for 2-3 years about some of the nuisance that they've been exposed to. And so my team's going to come. They're going to talk to you about a high-level overview of the ordinance. But really, what we want to get to is answering your questions so that you understand that we are listening, that we do care, and it's just a matter of time because we're dealing with private homes. And so some of the complaints that we've experienced are related to people, neighbors believing that walls are being taken down and rooms are being, established so that they can do all of this short-term rental activity. But when we're dealing with someone's home, we have to go through a process. The same rights that we would want afforded to us if someone was alleging a complaint against us, that we have to afford those same rights to these individuals, but we will hold them accountable and we will follow the enforcement process. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over and have my team come and give you that overview, but ultimately we want to get to your questions and provide you answers so that you know that we're not ignoring this situation. And so here they are.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hilda Solis Crew. I am the Assistant Operations Chief overseeing the business license section where the short-term rental program lives. So with me, I have Frank Washington. Everyone knows Frank is the unit supervisor over the short-term rentals unit. So I'm going to just dive a little bit deeper than what Andrea covered about the ordinance. It went into effect in October of 2024. It was a few years in the making. But I'll go into the details and we'll provide you some resources in terms of where to find a copy of the ordinance if you don't already, so you can study it for yourself and learn the details of the program, the parameters. So our application process today is via email, via mail, but we are implementing a new system tomorrow, as a matter of fact, with our partner GoOS, so we can accept and process applications online. So, along with the application, the next step is the enforcement, right? Because the ordinance, it does have a lot of caveats about what can be done, what cannot be done, limits on what properties can be used as short-term rentals, which are primary residences, with some proclamation that went into effect in January about the victims of the fire and winds events in January. So our enforcement process starts with education. It's a new ordinance that just went into effect less than a year, about 9 months ago. So our first step is to educate people about the ordinance, what can be done, what cannot be done. And then we work with them to complete the application process, hopefully get them registered and issue a certificate. But then, you have people that don't want to play nice, right? Comply with the ordinance. We do have a process by which we issue a non-compliance compliance notice, and then assess admin fines in order to get people to comply with the ordinance. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
You mentioned non-compliance, what do you mean by that?
So our ordinance, the way it's written, any provisions of the ordinance, if an operator is in non-compliance with the provisions of the ordinance, they are subject to a non-compliance fee of $285.
So how are you supposed to know that?
How are we supposed to know that? Good question. So our team, Frank and Ricardo, and we have another inspector, we monitor listings to look into compliance issues. We get complaints. We have a complaint website which we will provide the details of. We field complaints, we look into it, online research, we visit properties to see what properties are doing SDR, are they in compliance or they're not. And then, but like Leandro talked about, there are limitations in terms of what we can do. In terms of resources, we have our limitations, but beyond that, in terms of getting access to private properties, could be tricky, could be difficult. So we do what we can. Yes.
Do you have a list somewhere of what it means to be compliant or non-compliant?
So we have our ordinance on our website, ttc.rhcounty.gov. If you go there, the business license tab.
What did you say?
We'll provide you the information.
Right.
ttc.lacounty.gov. I'm sorry we don't have the PowerPoint online. I didn't know I could provide it in advance, but we have hard copies of the PowerPoint presentation with some of these resources that I'm mounting off really fast. On there you can find the ordinance. Ordinance is very detailed and it covers everything that is allowed in terms of what can be done, number of guests per house, what properties it is limited to, which is the primary residence, except for the victims of fire.
All the short-term rentals operators required to register to apply for the permit?
Yes.
So before you issue the permit, do you inspect the property?
We inspect the property if there's an issue with the paperwork, if something is not to our satisfaction in terms of meeting the guidelines. Right?
So you don't?
No,
so
you
don't
physically inspect the property.
Not every property, no.
Because if I go to buy a house, somebody's gotta come out and inspect that property so it can be insured and yada yada. But when I had an addition to my house, before I got my permit, you guys came out many, many times to inspect my house before I got my final permit.
Oh yeah, that was planning.
Right, but still, right, somebody from
Yeah.
the point higher than me, right, before I was issued a permit, I
Sure.
had to be in compliance, and they didn't take my word that I was compliant, right? They came out and said, are you compliant, and made me compliant. So wouldn't that be more
Well,
advantageous?
when you think about some of the things that are required to be able to operate a short-term rental, it has to be your primary residence. So we get documentation that proves that it's your primary residence. And then it's a matter of you starting to conduct the short-term rental, right? So inspecting, what is it that we're to inspect? Because we won't know that there's any concern until after you start conducting the short-term rental. So our application process is you verified for us that this is your primary residence, along with some other documentation. And so at the point that we've registered you, hopefully you're gonna be a good short-term rental operator. But at the point that you're not, then that's when we have to go through the process. So there really isn't anything for us to inspect for you to be approved to conduct short-term rental, because the primary, the baseline is that it's your primary residence. And we don't need to go out and see if the documentation to prove that. I only have a handful of copies, so maybe you can share.
Yes, questions?
I have a few questions. Can I go here?
Yeah.
What happened to the hotline to report issues?
We do have a hotline. I'm not gonna pop it off really fast,
Okay.
but it's on the handout, and there's a phone number you can call.
Okay. And another question is too, does the ordinance indicate that the owner is supposed to reside in the short-term rental?
It does, very specific.
Okay.
It
So
has
we
to be
can
the-
report it if they're not.
I'm sorry?
We report it if they're not living there, right?
You can report it, yes.
We had an issue a year ago in our neighborhood. I mean, they were doing nitrous oxide, they were partying, I called the sheriff out, they just knocked on the door and said, keep the noise down, they were throwing up on the street. It was a nightmare. I sent emails to the short-term rental information, I sent the code enforcement, I sent everywhere. Not one response, not one response. I was on the phone forever and it was just like useless. So I don't know.
So let me just say.
I want to know who the report calls to, because this has been, we're not getting anywhere. You said a year ago? Yep.
So, yeah, the short-term rentals ordinance went into effect October 7th.
And I sent another email in October regarding that same property,
Okay.
and still nothing. I got my email right here.
Can you by any chance let us know what that address is, maybe after the
I will
meeting, just on the
definitely let you
side, so we can take a look and
Yes.
look into the issue? Yes. Yes.
I have a statement. I've been in Rowland Heights for over 20 years, and most people who live in this community know, at least in my neighborhood, where the rentals are. Okay, we sit by the parking in and out. It's not a history on money, but so it's on the honor system, if I'm not mistaken, for a person that wishes to conduct a short-term rental to call your office or somebody official and say, okay, this is what we need to do. Other than that, they're not really, there's no emphasis or something that they need to do because they want to make money without, the taxpayers. And I think that's what a lot of them do. And it flies under the radar, like it's been like the lady back here said, and it's out of control now. So with a handful of people.
So up until now, it was an honor system, although complaints were driving our enforcement and our follow-up, but now with our system that's running like tomorrow. That this vendor scrubs many websites, Airbnb, Rowland, included, and others, for advertisements, and they match them to properties. So we're gonna reach out to those properties that are advertising their properties for rentals. We're gonna notify them to come in and register, and get certified, and then that's gonna lead to our enforcement.
They used to do it like if they have a community of friends that want to just remain anonymous. Then that's the honor system.
It's the honor system, but then if there's issues, complaints coming to the play, then we can get involved that way and follow them.
And you think their primary residence, well, like you have an Airbnb, no one lives there. They rent out every square foot of that property, so where's
They live right next to a couple of streets down. They don't live there.
Where's the rule, kind of like, because my primary residence, he has to physically or she has to physically live there in order to, fall under the statute.
That is the ordinance. The short-term rental in the unincorporated area of the county has to be the primary residence of the host.
So this guy doesn't live there.
So you just let us know, report it to us.
But he proved it to you with the utility bill or whatever you use. You don't come out and check to make sure there's someone living there. Or that they have a fire alarm and that's divided into 3 separate units. And that there's, well, I guess parking isn't supposed to be an issue anymore. But it's a safety issue. And my question is about background checks on either the owner or the residents. I don't let my grandchildren ride their bikes up and down the street like my kids did, because we don't know who's there. So that's a safety issue, and the county can keep doing this, or the city, or the state, but who gives a care, right? Well, like registered sex offenders, that's now a law, but we don't know who's living in these houses that we're all talking about. And somehow or other we got the pregnancy thing under control, I think. When they were renting the big houses and having babies.
I was involved with that.
No, were you? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't.
I've been in this, I was driving up today and I was remembering because I came to a meeting here a few years ago, but then one of my inspectors, we're out here, maternity homes we call them.
Right.
I've been here in those days, this was somewhere between 2014 and 18. And we got it under control.
Yeah, you did.
One thing that we ask you to remember is that this is a new ordinance. And I know it's a hot topic. It's your neighborhoods, it's your homes, it's your neighbors. I get it, we get it. If it was happening next door to mine, I would have the same concerns that you have. I get it. For the ones that are flying under the radar, if you know about it, let us know. In regards to that one property that you know it's not the primary residence, we do have applications when we suspect there's some, funny things happening, that it's not the person's primary residence. We do investigate, we do drill down, we ask for secondary or tertiary evidence and verification of this information. The ordinance may be new, but we're not new in what we're doing. We are seasoned inspectors. I have been in business license on and off for 11 years, including maternity homes and business license and now short-term rentals.
What is short term?
30 days or less.
7 days or less?
30 days.
30 days or less.
And I'm glad you asked that question because sometimes in different jurisdictions, there's different understandings and perceptions about what is short-term rental. For most people, short-term rentals is 30 days or less. Okay? It depends on the jurisdiction.
Does it apply differently to unincorporated in other cities? Because like Dynamite doesn't allow Airbnb. Rowland Heights seems like it doesn't allow everything, but everything's here.
It does. This ordinance applies to the unincorporated area of the county. So if you have incorporated cities such as Los Angeles, Diamond Bar, or others, Pasadena, whatnot, they have their own ordinance. And if they don't pass an ordinance, that means they don't allow it. Like we didn't allow it until before October of last year.
So unincorporated Rowland Heights allows it.
The county, incorporates like Horseless, county unincorporated area, not just Rowland Heights.
I'm sorry?
I mean, does she live in Rowland?
Not in Rowland Heights, but
Maybe she should be, like, stay in one of these short-term rentals, enjoy our neighborhood. Yeah.
Let us know.
90 days, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Short-term rentals are allowed in Rowland Heights, but if it's the primary residence, it's only allowed for 90 days, is that correct?
No.
30. No,
No.
that's the length of a short-term rental. How many days may it be rented?
So if it's a hosted stay, meaning the property host is on the premises where it's supposed to be, it's unlimited. They can do it for a year. If it's an unhosted stay, where it's the host's primary residence, but they are not going to be there while there's a guest there, there's a limit of 90 days. Per year. Thank you for asking that question.
What if they do a business right out of the garage all day long, every day, cars moving in and out, there and something in and out? Packages going in and out.
Business in a short-term rental. That's a different layer.
We're locating somebody to intervene because nobody wants to touch those properties. I have 2 grow houses on the side of me, 2. One has been raided twice, where they've taken more than 2,200 plants out of an illegally built building, and nothing has happened, nothing. And that's been at least a year since they got raided the first year.
I have a question. Yes, sir.
Kind of a leading question, but I'm curious, you're from the Office of Tax Collector, correct?
Right.
How are you guys collecting the taxes for the short-term rentals? What's the cash flow?
So the taxes that apply to this are called transient occupancy tax, which is similar to your, they call it bed tax.
Which is a licensed operator, right?
I'm sorry?
That's just like a licensed operator. What actually happens to the cash that those people pay to the owner of that property? How do you get your tax out of that?
Registration fee.
So there's two things, 2 certificates. One is the short-term rental certificate, which is an annual fee of $9.14 to operate. And then as you operate, as you have guests staying, you pay 12% TOT, transient occupancy.
So how are you collecting that?
We're
How
collecting.
do you make them pay what they owe you? How's that being done?
Well, we have a unit that deals with transient occupancy tax, TOT, we'll call it. They have, they reach out to operators and they demand them to submit forms and permit payments. I'm sorry?
So you have a process in.
Correct, yes. And then with the system that's going live tomorrow, they're going to be part of that system as well. They'll outreach to short-term rentals that are operating in order to collect their TOT.
The vendor that you're using, are they recognizing this is LA County incorporated large area, right? Are they working directly with Airbnb and corporate
sites to collect that tax payment?
No,
So
because.
it's on their water when they're filing the certificates.
Correct. There is a, without going into too much detail, there's an issue with the way those platforms collect their permit utility. They don't break down by property. They collect and send a one lump sum payment to the jurisdiction, in this case, LA County. But we need to know per property how much utilities are paid. So we are not asking the platforms to collect for us. We reach out to
I will share that there is, I'm not sure if it's an Assembly or Senate bill, but there's legislation that is circulating now that would require the platforms, the Airbnb and the VRBO, to provide that information to the county.
And that's a state initiative or?
Yes.
Okay,
So, fingers crossed.
if they get caught, say they don't do anything proper and neighbors complain and they get caught red-handed, it's still kind of a bureaucracy, you know, because it's a private deal.
You say get them out.
I don't get them out, they're busted, not paying their fair share. And they're operating illegally, what happened. And the neighbors come in and say they're not compliant, it's a bunch of red tape and whatever, because they're not.
There's a process.
It's a due process.
There's a due process.
Not obviously. Is it more of a fine, is it more of an emphasis, or is it the same old?
It's escalated. We start with a non-compliance fee, and we move on to admin fine, which are $2,000 or twice the nightly rate they charge. We could escalate cases to the DA's office for legal action. In one case, at least, we know in the county, we have worked with the DA's office to address an issue. And so it's just, it's a private property, like Andrea touched on earlier. Just like I wouldn't want anybody to just break down my door and walk in. It's the same.
Ultimately, too, we can file a lien against the property. So,
Because when all the addresses we can get from the community.
we have that contact information for you to submit it to.
And we'll stand by at the end. Ricky and I will be standing by for those addresses to help. You can report those to us. We'll get right on.
I just wondered if there's a time frame when these short-term rental operators have to register
Before they start operating.
before they start. So
If they're operating without a license, that's too late already. They're already in violation.
is there a way we know if a property has registered? Is there a public list?
I am going to be working on publishing that list on our website. I think the first one I'm going to have done by end of this year, end of this month, sorry about that. But yeah, you can call us anytime, we can tell you. And
We have a notice requirement.
we have a notice requirement to the surrounding property. that we If you have a question about a particular property, call or email us, we'll respond.
What's the notice requirement?
So when we approve a short-term rental, then we have to give notice to the neighbor properties that the short-term rental is being, has been approved.
So we'll get
So it's a process, yeah, it's a process, like, our system is going live tomorrow, we're getting all of these things up and running.
Yes.
So what is considered surrounding property? So we're in a homeowners association, do you inform the homeowners, the management company, so they can let everyone in the neighborhood know? Do you do a house on each side? What is the notice?
Right now, it would be the bordering properties.
So next door neighbors only?
For right now. Again, our program is just getting started. Resources are an issue. We don't want to over-promise and under-deliver. So that's the immediate, notification. But ultimately, what you suggested, I hadn't heard that suggestion. That's something that needs to take back.
Yeah, we would like the homeowners association notified, because they notify everyone in the neighborhood.
already asked the question, but just to make a comment for homeowner association, a lot of the HOA doesn't allow 30-day, so you might want to check the
But
bylaws.
we can't disallow it because it's allowed by the county.
Well, I don't know that. I don't think, I mean, you have bylaws within your HOA.
Yeah, so your HOA have a bylaws that.
I'm the president of our HOA, and we don't have anything that disallows it.
You might have to modify your bylaws. Yeah, because I mean, we're not going to supersede your bylaws.
Yeah, the county's ordinance will not supersede the one.
John, but you already have with the ADUs. So, yeah, you have superseded the HOAs.
Not necessarily. There's that ordinance that allows ADUs to be used in certain cases, but doesn't mean it supersedes any homeowners association bylaw. That applies to any property, and if there is an association that limits that access, or elements. Can you address the right question? So this is Alex from Planning, Presence County Planning.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex Garcia, I'm with LA County Planning. I think I'm pretty loud, so I can use the microphone. As Andrea said, I've been in the county for a long time. I've been addressing a lot of land use issues. We deal more with land use issues. And so we're partnering up with TTC to ensure that the short-term rentals are being operated in proper units and proper structures. Most of the bulk of the enforcement, the bulk of the monitoring is going to be TTC's responsibility, and we'll get involved whenever, like for example, there's a short-term rental in an ADU. So we're not allowing any short-term rentals in ADUs. With respect to the ADUs, the lady asked the question whether or not we can supersede any other bylaws. ADUs are a little different. It's a housing law. Housing laws kind of have a little more authority than some other laws. I'm not very well versed on that, but I can give you someone that can talk to you about that. Housing laws in California are very special. Housing, as you know, is lacking in California, and the state is looking for every way to increase number of units. So that's why it's a little special. I wouldn't compare it with short-term rental limits and restrictions. This is something different, and so I can talk to you after the meeting about ADUs and more housing issues if you like, but right now we're going to focus on the short-term rentals. And I'm here to answer any questions as well.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question about short-term rental ADU. Do you have to provide parking?
You don't have to. If you do, that's fine, but you don't have to.
Right. Because we have parking works on our street, and poor police get called because somebody's parking in front of somebody's house and they can't. It's crazy.
But whatever parking that.
So you guys can put up 1,000 buildings to accommodate the state's 1,000, it's 800 and something or whatever it was. But we don't have to have parking spaces for 2 per family. So
Whatever parking is available to that house.
you can park on the grass, you can park, well, wherever you want to park
That's
now.
where we have a land use issue.
Yeah,
You
no,
start
I'm
parking
just
on the
saying.
grass.
You know how
It's
that
not
rolls
allowed.
back though.
Rowland Heights, park anywhere.
Anywhere. Except on these corners, 20 feet back.
Some of the things that, some of the complaints we receive are not under our jurisdiction, but we work very closely with our partners. Like we work closely with regional planning, we also work closely with the sheriff's department. So some of these things are not for us to enforce, they're for local law enforcement to enforce, and so that's where we would, bring them into the conversation. But as far as if this, whatever parking is dedicated to that property, that parking should be made available to the short-term rental kids.
But if you have 3 short-term rentals.
Well, we shouldn't.
Yeah, so we just have to get through, give us that time, start doing the, education and enforcement. And you won't have those many short-term rentals on the same.
Any other questions? Well, we'll be here, if you want to tell us about some of the properties we talked about earlier, you can take. Yes.
What type of proof do you require to get licensed in the first place? I'd like to know what our neighbors are getting this license or having.
I want to be clear, it's not a license, it's a registration.
To operate a license.
Registration.
Registration certificate.
You require to know who the owner is and prove that it's their home, what documents are you looking at?
We require utility bills, property taxes, a driver's license that matches the short-term rental with who's applying.
And we compare those to our online research to make sure things make sense. Because you can produce a utility bill for any address, right? You know that. If you're willing to do it, you can. So we do, Becky, Dilly, and our assistant inspector, Frank, they'll research more to make sure things align in our property.
How do you verify that the host lives?
That's more of the gray area that could be exploited, but we do talk to them, we request verification, and if need be, we'll go to a property to make contact with the property, with the host at the property to verify.
And we hear from you.
Okay, these people are operating the short-term rentals. Do they have to post? They are out in operation, they have to post registration. I sit on it. I don't know what. Every time I have a meeting, we have to post in about 3 different places in the community. So all we're doing. These people here, they're operating, I think everybody's frustrated, they're operating in the dark. We don't know who they are. We suspect something, we can't walk up and say, well, where do you operate? You make every business in the community, post a whole bunch of it. Open to the public, we can see it, we can ask questions about it. These people are just getting underneath it.
So I'm going to compare that to our business license. We issue business licenses to, let's say, restaurants and the area.
Where's it posted?
And they're supposed to display it. But short-term rentals are private properties. They have to display it inside the property, but not outside the property.
But we want to be saying that they're no longer purely private property, they're semi-private. They're inviting the public into, right? Same like our parking lots. It's the same market. So, you guys kind of need to step up to me.
Part of the,
You know who these people are.
part of the requirement for the platform is to also post that this host has a registration certificate or not advertise their short-term rental. So there's compliance from the host, but there's also compliance from the Airbnb, the VRBO platform. So they are required, because we can assess fines to those platforms as well. So they have to be in compliance, making sure that they are allowing the advertisement of the short-term rental for someone who has been issued a registration to conduct short-term rental activity.
Do you have like other languages searched? What if I'm advertised on like a Chinese website?
Like WeChat?
Like WeChat, like ChineseInLA.com. There's a lot of rental listings. So are you guys able to spot those and then to check on them? Okay. The second thing I would like to
There
mention.
are about 20 different platforms that that our vendor has that they monitor.
So the second thing is you mentioned you want to verify like utility bills and stuff like that. Should the property owner also, the name is matching the property tax bill?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So that would be the main source
Yes.
for verification, right?
But operating a short-term rental is not limited to the property owner. you can be a renter and with the consent of the property owner, do short-term rentals.
So,
Provide that proof.
well, how?
They have to
Well, that's
provide-
our ordinance, the way it's written, it allows us to.
One of the things that we have to keep in mind, when the ordinance was under draft, there, just as much as you guys are concerned about your neighborhood impact, there are those people who are concerned about the county restricting their ability to generate an income. And so we try to find a balance to make sure that their ability to generate an income does not come at your expense of maintaining, your neighborhood, peace and tranquility in your neighborhood. So
safe.
that's why and safety. That's why some of these things that are allowed, and you're, a little surprised that these things would be allowed. But again, I go back to, our ordinance is very new. Our operation is barely getting fully implemented. We're gonna need, your help along with our platform, as well as our staff to start seeing, change, but it's gonna take some time. And so we just ask, I know you've been very patient already, so we just ask for you to allow us time to be able to actually start making a difference.
Just let us know if there's an issue, we'll look into it. It might take longer than a few days, longer than you expect us. Just be patient with us, we'll get to.
One last comment.
Yeah. There's no limits to comments. Comment all night.
For the lease, for any rental property, I'm assuming that they have a lease agreement. And under most proper lease agreement, the owner have to agree upon for them to sublease with approval. So that approval will be a statement for you to verify and saying that, oh, yes, they are allowed to do so, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And if a host is not the owner of the property, they have to have consent from the property owner to the listing. That is in our ordinance.
That we require.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you said you guys are just starting up. Would you be able to come back and give us an update, maybe in a year? Or maybe 6 months, say, how is it going? Is it
We'll
looking
come back
or is it
every
not?
I probably won't, but somebody will. But no, it's reasonable, 1 year for sure. We are 9 months into our ordinance, it is young, like you said. And at one point, we may have to go back and revisit, we don't know, we just have to see how it develops. We see the impact, and then we hear from the community such as yours. Yes, sir.
Are you able to speak to the number of registered operating businesses right now?
About 70. It's been slow and progressing. It's still on our system as of right now. And starting tomorrow, after tomorrow, we are going to look at advertisements that are happening across the county in the unincorporated area, notify them, hold them more accountable.
So you're saying 70 within all of unincorporated county or 70 within all?
Oh, no, 70 in the all of unincorporated.
A lot of revenue there, guys.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of revenue.
Oh, yeah.
Not looking for revenue, just trying to break even.
I'm just saying, it's gonna become 70?
Yes.
So eventually we will know the address of those also on your website.
Yes.
When?
Not too long into the future, maybe next couple of months. I'm looking to implement a process to populate that list onto the LA County Open Data portal. But also I'm gonna have that list on our website as well within the next month. I've already started. Yes, sir.
Oh, this is for an event. Can you book them in 6 months?
I just went over to Brandon and told him to write that down, and he's going to make sure he puts them.
Okay, we'll see you in 6 months.
I'm on top of it.
I do want to add one more thing. So with LA County Planning, and I'm going to speak for LA County Planning, and I'm assuming it's going to be anywhere with TTC. With LA County Planning, we implement a lot of ordinances over the years, and there's always that trial period, okay? It doesn't mean that it's all what's written in ink the first time is set. There's always an opportunity to modify it that needs to be modified. So that's where the input from the residents comes in handy, because I'm sure that TTZ will also have an opportunity to modify that ordinance if it needs to be modified, as long as it's reasonable and makes sense.
Especially if we find those loopholes that, you know, they're finding this back door to be, we want to close that, so your input is very valuable.
By the way, some of us have an address in Florida, we live in Rowland Heights. So sometimes when I put in a request to the works, they tell me I need to city of Florida, but I'm not. So just a heads up, if you see it, saying, I just want that, it's unincorporated.
We verified the address, we verified that, make sure it's in unincorporated area. Everything starts with being within our jurisdiction.
You can also use 211. They're a little more experienced in terms of identifying where your jurisdiction is at. So 211 is kind of like a comprehensive hotline where you can report anything. So if you don't want to go to the public works staff because they're always bouncing you back, you can go to 211, or you can go to the specific agency that you think that can address the issue.
It's funny you say that because today we did an inspection right on the border of unincorporated where it's Walnut and County. So we double checked.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much, and you know what? We are not getting kicked out already. So we have a few more minutes. So if you do have some information or question for one of our guest speakers, now is your time to perhaps go ask them the question. Our next meeting will be August 11th.